Hello and welcome to a lovely day out in Turkey. And I realise I've not actually done a single video yet talking about the spec of my Argon 18 Dark Matter. So I'm just going to run through it quickly with you, give you a bit of a lowdown on what I've done with the bike, how I've got it set up, and briefly the kind of events I'm going to use it for as well. So I'm riding a size medium Argon 18 Dark Matter in their green colourway. They do it in a red as well. Personally, I prefer the green. I know red bikes are faster, but I'm not the biggest fan of red personally. I like more earthy tones. It's a green and gold, really lovely, really neat paint job, and there's loads of little details in it which I don't think you can actually notice until you see it up close. I built this bike up with Shimano GRX Di2. Now traditionally, if you had this set up out the box effectively, you'd have 4831 on the front, but what I've done just to help with having an easier gear for ultras is I've actually got it as a 4830 on the front, which seems to shift absolutely fine. And then on the rear, the traditional way of setting up is 1134, and as you'll see in a previous video, I put a wolf tooth road link in the GRX mech and have an 1140 on it. So my easiest gear is 40 on the back, 30 on the front. So it's actually a super spinny gear, which is super helpful for a lot of ultras where you've got some steep stuff, and to help with fatigue as you tire when you're doing these kind of events. The wolf tooth road link basically replaces the link in the mech that goes between the rear mech and your hanger. If you've got a direct mount hanger, this doesn't work, but if you have a traditional hanger, you have that middle link which goes in between the mech and the hanger, and you basically replace that with the wolf tooth one, and it lowers down the position of the rear mech to allow you to accommodate a larger cassette. Now there might be some the shifting may be slightly compromised from what Shimano standards are required to be, which are very high, but it still works absolutely perfectly, and wolf tooth have made a fantastic solution to this problem that some people are having in terms of gear ranges for ultra events. Shimano's GRX group set, I have to put it out there, is probably my favourite group set, hands down. I love the shape of the shifters, I like the gear ranges, I like that it's quite rugged, I like that it's got a clutch as well, and it works incredibly well. And personally, I'm really looking forward to whenever the next generation comes out, which has got to be soon. We've seen the 12-speed mechanical group set, so it can't be far away now from the 12-speed Di2 one. For me personally, as someone that's got quite bad nerve damage in my left hand, a mechanical group set is really hard for me to shift when I get tired and fatigued. Di2 group set, because it is just a little tiny touch of the button, is so much better. I have on this bike some Garmin Rally power meter pedals, dual-sided pedals. They are fantastic, really like them as a product. My one thing to mention about these, they do increase your stack height quite significantly. So if you're looking at these, please bear that in mind in your bike fit, that you may have to adjust your fit appropriately. Finishing kit is from Enve. I'm running an inline seat post, an Enve road stem, which is a 120mm stem, and the Enve AR bar, their all-road bar, which is fantastic on the road, fantastic off-road. I'm super impressed with it as a handlebar. It's got a nice bit of vibration management in it, which means it sort of flexes a little bit when you're riding over the rough stuff, but feels more than stiff enough and has a slight flare in the drops. Wheels on this bike are Enve SES 3.4s with a set of Schwalbe G1R tyres with a 45mm on it. Hubs are Chris King hubs, rotors are Shimano rotors. It's just the best. There's the best setup I think you could possibly have on your wheels. 3.4s are a nice depth, they're aero enough, but also they ride fantastically. Loads of people I know are using them for gravel as well, because they are quite a wide rim internally, so with a wide tyre they work fantastic. And Chris King hubs, they're just the best hubs in the world. There's not much more I can say about that. Bottle cages are Enve bottle cages. They're like gravelly bottle cages, I can't quite remember the name of them. And then the headset on this bike, I've just used some wolf tooth bits of orange to kind of go with the Chris King hubs. The cable management on Argon 18's Dark Matter and the Krypton and Krypton Pro is basically into the front of the head tube, and it means you can have quite a lot of adjustability in the stack height. They do their 3D Plus system, which allows you to increase the height from the 0mm cap, which is what I'm currently using, up to basically 3 centimeters above, and kind of integrate the cabling. I sit bang in the middle, so I have to have some spaces underneath the stem to basically compromise for my fit, but it's fine, doesn't really matter. The saddle I'm riding is a Gebbio Sleek. It's what I've been using for a couple of years now. Really impressed with it. Rides fantastic. Yeah, I think that covers everything. Oh, one last thing to mention is the lights I'm using are from Exposure. I've got a blaze on the back, and I think the little one on the front is called I don't even know, to be honest with you. So I've got a blaze on the back and a tiny one on the front, and my bike computer that I've been using now for several years is the Garmin 1030 Solar. It's the best as well. It just doesn't die, which is problematic because I forget to charge it half the time, but it's a good problem to have. So a few more things to mention about the Dark Matter itself. Argon 18 designed this bike to be a really versatile and all-round gravel bike. A bike that can be the bike that can handle really well on the super rough stuff, but also is completely comfortable. A bike that can handle really well on the rough stuff, but is also incredibly versatile and comfortable for fast gravel races as well. The Argon 18 Dark Matter is covered in mounts. You've got mounts on the forks, mounts on the frames. There's mounts all over it that I don't really know what you would mount to them, but there's so many mounts on the bike which allows you to have the option to be using it for a bike packing trip, ultra races, as well as short gravel races like some of the UCI gravel races where we've seen this bike being raced at. The frame has dropped seat stays which help with compliance and comfort, but also the rear stay on the drive side is dropped as well, which allows you to basically fit a bigger chainring on and also help with tyre clearance. I'm running this with 45mm Schwalbe G1Rs, which are big tyres, and there's still room to go bigger probably if I wanted to, but I think the official limit of size is 45mm. Argon 18 have also installed like a rubber base bit which sort of protects the lower part of the frame from rock strike and rock bashing coming up from the ground. I also have this frame wrapped by Ride Wrap, which just helps protect it all over a bit more. They offer this system called the 3D Plus system, which allows you to adjust the stack height at the front end depending on what works with your fit. I run it with a 0mm cap. The other option is a 25mm cap, but by the time you put on the FSA headset cap, which the cables go into, it takes it to sort of nearly 30mm. So it can increase the front end significantly if you say need that for your fit and your requirements as a bike rider. It really is incredibly useful to have that flexibility and fit, and why they've done this 3D Plus system is it also increases the front end stiffness as opposed to having tons of spaces if you need to have it so much higher. The bike comes with a press fit bottom bracket. Personally I prefer a threaded one, but if you put a press fit on it, it works absolutely fine as well, as long as it's installed correctly. I just prefer threaded bottom brackets because of ease of maintenance really, but if you've got a good quality press fit in there like an Enduro Bearings bottom bracket, you don't need to touch it, which is great. They come with a little chain guide thing which is part of the frame, tiny bit, which basically allows you to, or basically stops the chain from dropping between the chain rings and the frame, hopefully to save it from getting damaged in any way. It's actually a really nice little feature that sort of bolts onto the frame. I'll show you that as well. And yeah, that's most about the Dark Matter, sort of briefly. I'm going to do a proper sort of long-term review video piece about it, but all in all, very impressed with it. It's a bike that seems to hold the speed very well. It's incredibly comfortable, which for me I really notice at the moment, and yeah, I think it's going to be a great friend for ultras and bike packing trips as well, so I'm quite looking forward to it. If you have any questions about it or anything you want to know, let me know in the comments below.